For Michigan State to get a big road win at Nebraska, they need to fix this defense. Is that even possible, though? I don't know.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for kicking off another game week with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below your concern level on a scale of 1 to 10 for this defense, because with the one, the only Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated, that is what we are going to start this show with. Hey, by now, hopefully you've heard it when I say it. We're happy with the offense, right? Aidan Chiles, hey, he's looking good. Things are progressing the way they should in a rebuild, but this defense, guys, look, it wasn't just one game that I was kind of melting down after. It's been the 4 games because, Chase, before I let you speak, I've got a 4-pack of stats here that I'm sure will put a smile on everyone's face to start their Monday morning commutes on a high note. Michigan State for sacks in the sacks department, tied for third last in the Big Ten with 6. They are tied with Rutgers, and the teams behind them, Northwestern and UCLA, they've only played 3 games, so you've also played another game that they have not. How about quarterback hurries? A nice Pro Football Focus stat. Michigan State has 32 hurries. Now, of the 12 Big Ten teams that have played 4 games at this point, MSU is 10th. That's right. Nebraska is behind them, actually, with 24. And then Oregon, mysteriously enough, they only have 19. But how about explosive plays, Chase? Because this is the one I almost fell off the couch for. Michigan State, through the air, has allowed 40 10-plus yard pass plays. Okay, 40. Okay, that is by far the worst in the Big Ten. And it wasn't just the USC game. They were second to worst in that metric going into the USC game. So altogether now, Michigan State allowing 6.05 yards per play. That is good for 110th in the nation. That is 4th worst in the Big Ten Conference. Chase, get in here and fix this thing. Fix it now. Can it be fixed?
I was going to say, is recruiting out of it an answer that I should stay away from?
I guess.
But I mean, that doesn't help us now, right? And it
No.
So I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot. I think everybody has. Thrilled to be with you. Happy to be here.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it as always.
Like you, very happy with the offense, the shape of the offense. Offensive line, running game. But on balance, both of those things are generally doing their job. They generally
the play calling has been good. I mean, it's good.
Looking against a good USC team, Chiles has been, absolutely taking a step. He's getting, I listened to Split Zone Duo a fair amount. He's getting a lot of love there, and I think it's well deserved. And I mean, I think coming along quite nicely on that side of the ball.
But with that said, however,
I mean, answering your question with a question, do you think this defense on balance is better or worse than last year?
Do you want my answer? Because I know a lot of fans don't want my answer. It's not feeling better. How about that? Is that a nice coy way to answer that one?
Right, and I would say the same thing. And it's interesting. I went back and looked at some of what we wrote and talked about at the time last year, and also what we talked about Joe Rossi. And I know that he's taken a lot of arrows, and when you have pretty dire stats like you're talking about, that's going to happen. The thing with that is I don't think that he is, lost his mind. I've seen, some of, he's just like the last guy, just with different facial hair. I don't think that's fair.
I agree.
Yeah. I really don't. And this is not me kind of white knighting for Joe Rossi or the defense or anything like that. I think that he was a good defensive coordinator at Minnesota. I think, he showed a variety of coverages. He showed a variety of blitz packages. He showed creativity on the defense. He's not Bill Belichick inventing pattern matching, right? He's not, he's a new Vic Fangio who's inventing a new way to play defense. No, but I think he is a good defensive coordinator. He's a creative defensive coordinator. And he's coached a lot of football, and I think he knows what he has.
Yeah.
And last year the defense, went great, right? They had very difficult time, famously, getting after the quarterback. But I do think they played assignment sound football more than what we saw this year. Now, the question is that because the players were better, or is it because the coaching staff forgot how to teach? What's going on there? Well, I don't think that Michigan State had an overwhelming, talent drop off on defense last year. But I do think, looking at things retrospectively, maybe they lost more on the margins from a personnel perspective than we had appreciated. So, Angelo Gross took a lot of arrows.
Yeah, sure did. Yep.
That's fair. But he generally knew, especially later in his career, we're not talking about the 2021 Ohio State game. We're talking about last year, largely knew where to be, made some good plays against good teams. I think the same could be said about Charles Brantley, somebody who you and I were very harsh on throughout a lot of his career. But, last year he was doing well in big games. And the defense was called in a way that maybe made up for certain shortcomings there. Jordan Turner, somebody who graded out pretty darn well at Wisconsin, came over and was a big part of that defense, complimenting a young Jordan Hall. I thought he was, maybe you've seen a little bit of a drop off after he's left. Maybe, somebody like a Chris Bogle, who I thought was, a fine if unspectacular player. Maybe we lost more on the margins from a personnel perspective than we thought. So, I mean, because there's things that happen in the USC game and throughout the season. Why is Michigan State playing so soft? Why are they just playing the, country cover 3, cover 2? Yeah. What happened? Why aren't we blitzing? Two things for that. One, I thought you saw more pressure in different pressure packages. Amorion Smith dump trucking a running back who is in pass pro, coming from a second level blitz and things like that. I do think you saw some creative blitzes, a nickel or a corner blitz from the boundary when Michigan State got a look that they liked. That was there against USC. Now, did it work? Not particularly, but it was
they never
there.
Do. Right?
No, but it was there. It was attempted. But I do think, why are you playing this soft? Why are you not blitzing? Well, if you blitz, just definitionally, you're devoting resources away from coverage. And that's, it's a gamble. That's why it's a blitz. But if you get home, it's really working. I think a lot of what you're seeing defensively from an architectural standpoint is not, Joe Rossi losing his mind or anything like that. It's an implicit commentary of, I can't get after the quarterback. Even if I devote a lot of resources to getting after the quarterback, I'm probably not going to get after the quarterback. So what am I going to do here? Let's talk about something happy for a minute. And I was doing this in a film room.
All right.
2018 Michigan defense. There's a lot of guys on there who are still playing in the NFL in some capacity. What happened when they went and played Ohio State? Absolutely.
I remember a lot of points.
Right. Paris Campbell's still running, right? Like 60-something points, absolute destruction, right? That whole defense was predicated on, we're playing cover 1, we're getting in your face, we're having a ton of different exotic blitzes. And what happened when those defensive ends and the blitzes weren't able to get home against Ohio State? They got torn to pieces. Now, what do you do if you're okay? I want to bring pressure, but I don't want to play cover 1 man behind them because I don't have a death wish. Okay, well, you're going to play pretty soft, and I think that's what you see to an extent. So there was a third down in the USC game where Eaton was bailed a little bit too deep in cover 3, and a pass was completed kind of just like a hitch underneath that. Why are we in cover 3? Well, it was a call. You had a linebacker flying over out of the hook curl, but he got occupied because they had a tight end sitting there. It was a well drawn up play, but you're doing that because I don't think if I send the house, my guys are going to get home. And then if you have some sort of a drag route, Mekhi Lemon could still be running, right? And he did enough of that anyway. So I think part of it is the inability to get after the quarterback really limits what you can do in the back end. It makes you have to play softer. So that's one thing.
Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade, guys. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. Now, what I love the most about 5-Hour Energy, how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You could take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. We're talking throw it in your pocket. That's easy. Throw it in your golf bag. That's simple. How about you just throw it in your backpack or your briefcase on the way to work? It is a breeze with 5 Hour Energy. Plus, guys, amazing flavors like their newest one, Transfusion. Just like you're back on the golf course, even if you're just at home or sitting in the office and just need that boost. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to get your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5hourenergy.com, or head on over to Amazon today. Also, guys, look your best with Alumni Hall this season because they got it all, guys. They want to take care of you, whether it's your wardrobe or taking care of you in the tailgating lots, because they have everything you need at Alumni Hall. We're talking officially licensed gear from the top brands like Nike, Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, and so much more. And it's not just the shirts, the sweatshirts, the hats, but also, like I said, guys, the gifts, all the tailgating gear to make sure that you have the best setup in the lots this season. And they really take care of the Spartan community. Michigan State students and faculty, as well as military and all first responders, you get 10% off with a valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, you're going to want to follow Alumni Hall on social media and download the Alumni Hall app, because that is where you'll find special offers and sales. So pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing near the Apple Store, or go ahead. Shop online or through their app. Both ways, very simple with Alumni Hall. And best part is, for every $150 you spend, you're going to get $10 in Hall cash to use for the next time. So grab that new game day look or upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination.
I think the other thing is, just in the secondary, there is still a little bit of a lack of connectedness.
Seems like
when we talk about alignment and assignment, people lining up wrong, just people not passing off zones. Are people aligned? Are they on the same page? That has continued to happen. There's been tackling issues. I mean, that was the second week in a row where Morian Smith has had
missed tackles last game.
15. That can't happen. And then the last thing is just, I think Jordan Hall's a really good player. I feel really bad for Darius Snow, just because he was so promising. And I just feel like he's been robbed a little bit of his athleticism, where you see him gambling a little bit more on some of these plays to the boundary, where it's like, you just kind of wonder, what does that look like if he didn't have a really, really nasty injury, right? So there's things like that. But, a lot of it, I think, just comes down to the defensive line. Not only can you not get after the passer, also for a lot of these teams, especially when you're talking about zone blocking, your job as a defensive lineman is you got to occupy one or two offensive linemen and keep them from getting to a second level. You got to keep a player like Jordan Hall clean so he can come in, fill a gap, and get a tackle. And that just wasn't happening. These guys just aren't eating the blocks the way they need to. And it just feels like they're at a little bit of a talent deficit there at the defensive line. And I don't know how much you can fix that this year. And I mean, this is, understanding these guys are better at football than I'll be at anything in my life. Right.
Certainly. And you're not going to face another team as athletic as USC. Like, this isn't just a one game overreaction. This is right. Why?
Absolutely. And I think that's important to note too, is USC's pretty darn good. Are they one of the best teams in the league? I don't know. I mean, that'll get sorted out. We might get some answers to that question, in the coming weeks here, but but I think that USC is pretty good, and I think that we can certainly say that. And specifically through the air, with a quarterback that's mobile, accurate, played a lot of ball like Maava, with the weapons that they have in the passing game, we'll talk about Nebraska in a minute. And I think Nebraska is going to be a really good barometer. But UCLA is not doing that to you.
Hope not.
Michigan's certainly not doing that to you. Maryland, they look a little bit spicy, but we're talking about September Maryland, right? We got to see what October Maryland.
I've seen it before, right?
And we'll have a conversation, right? Yeah. But I do think, opponent caveat noted. This was a very just depressing answer to your question of, can it be fixed? What can we do? I think there are things. I think the bye week comes at a good time. First of all, heal up, right? To the extent that some of these injuries that we've had, guys can get healthy. I mean, part of the thing with that, I want to be very clear. That defense was getting fried before your entire starting linebacker level either was hurt or ejected.
1,000%.
I'm not, but I
Right.
do think when your first and second green dot players have to leave the game for different reasons, that is going to have an impact.
Not great.
When, your backup middle linebacker and Brady Pretzlaff, I think, was hurt and didn't make the trip, right? So there is that. So one, get healthy to the extent possible. But two, I just think these guys need more reps in the secondary playing together, right? Nakai Martinez has not played a full season, right? I think getting him up to game speed will help. Morian Smith, can he get more connected with some of the guys in the back end? Same thing with Eaton. Ade Willie did some good things, did some not so good things. Malcolm Bell had one of the better defensive plays of the game on that fourth down where he had just a wonderful tackle. Is he somebody that can get worked in more? I think you've got to find your best 4 or 5 in the back end and really start repping the defense with them in it. I understand the rotation. I think maybe you shorten up that rotation now and you really try to focus on getting guys connected intellectually in the back end. And you do that, and then you rep certain concepts more, and you just try to be as assignment sound as you can be with understanding that improvement that you're going to see is going to be aggregation of marginal gains. This is not going to be, like a top 25 unit overnight, but it can get marginally better. And when you have the offense that we both think that Michigan State has, an offense that really is pretty dynamic, a little bit better might be able to win you, quite a few games left on the schedule. Cause we'll talk about Nebraska. This Nebraska game is huge because if you can get to 5-1 with UCLA on deck, I think you're getting to 5-1. You get to 5-1. That's, you're in a pretty good spot there. So it's a huge game. And I think that we learned a decent amount about them this weekend.
And I'm really glad that you brought that up about Joe Rossi, because that's something I've been just kind of shouting into my vacuum over here in this little closet studio that I have. But truly, I'm going to steal your term, not to white knight for him, because believe me, guys, I want someone to yell at. I want to scream at someone and just lash out.
Well, there's issues there. It's not been perfect, right?
But I agree, because we have seen him try a lot of different creative blitz packages. They just never get home, and he's made in-game adjustments. I always go back to this Boston College game. They were blitzing quite often, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, but then fourth quarter, screw it, this ain't working. He blitzed one time in the fourth quarter, and I think they only gave up, 3 points in that quarter, got eventually to overtime. So, he is a smart defensive coordinator. It wasn't just because, of course, we all love the narrative of, he was just feasting on Big Ten West defenses. No, even when his teams did play Ohio State's or actually some good offenses on the Big Ten East, they would still statistically be pretty outstanding. But it comes down to the personnel. It comes down, like you said, alignment issues, but we've already, hammered that into the ground. Let's talk about this Nebraska game, because look, I called the USC game. If you won that game, program altering. Now, is Nebraska program altering? No, but I would use the term tide turner. This would turn the tide here. This would get the vibes back to the majority of being positive. Okay, that's a good road win. Any way you slice it, and I know Nebraska's Nebraska, and they always let their over-betters before the season down. I've been let down the last 8 years because I don't know any better. But look, that's a solid team. What are they good at? They're good at explosive pass plays. They don't really throw it long, but they get a lot of yards after the catch. They're good at running the ball. They're efficient. They're not necessarily explosive, but they still do have a really good offensive line. Now, what they're not good at, run defense. And I think you saw that last weekend against Michigan, but not just then. Opening night, I know it's week 1. Things get a little wonky there. Cincinnati ran for north of 6 yards per carry against them as well. So that's just a quick tail of the tape. But Chase, someone in this room has a rooting interest for an opponent that just played them quite recently, and I think I rule myself out of this one. You got an up-close look at Nebraska with your Wolverines not too long ago. What do you see in this is a broad question. This is a really stupid way to present this. What do you see in this Nebraska team?
Yeah, it's I think a lot of what you said. I think we learned a lot about both Nebraska and Michigan, and we could touch on both those if you want, but focusing on the immediate with Nebraska, I think Dylan Raiola is pretty good. He's not terribly mobile. I think the biggest thing in going through and kind of looking at some Nebraska coverage of that game too, the biggest revelation from the Nebraska side of that game was, oh boy, our offensive tackles are an issue.
One of the tools that can help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly known as Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about time and time again, but just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline, guys. It is simple with Quo. Now, whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, again, formerly known as Open Phone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over with no extra charges, guys. It's Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Also, guys, FanDuel keeping your college football Saturdays exciting, your NFL Sundays exciting, NFL Mondays exciting. Whenever there's a day of the week that ends in Y, yeah, FanDuel is making it all the better, guys. And with the NFL season being here, they have an offer you do not want to miss, especially for you new customers out there, because new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's right. It's that simple. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Use it for futures bets. Use it for prop bets. Just use it for your old-fashioned game lines if you just want to go ahead and do that. Or, hey, keep it exciting like I do. Same game parlay it. Add some touchdown scores, first-time touchdown scores, last-time touchdown scores, whatever it is. It's going to keep you more involved in those Saturday and Sunday games that you might otherwise truly might not even care about. Guys, FanDuel increases and enhances the experience on game days, guys. So what are you waiting for out there? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, guys, that is over at FanDuel.com.
Right. Now, Michigan's defense is they've got issues in their own right, but they are very twitchy. They're very athletic, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Like there's NFL edge guys on that team, right? They recruit that position really well. That's there. I don't necessarily think Michigan State has that from a personnel perspective, but it was clear that those offensive tackles were an issue. I mean, I think Raiola got sacked like 7 times, got hit
7.
a whole lot more. Can Michigan State get pressure in this game? We just talked at length about how that's been a substantial issue. But if you can get pressure in this game, if you can heat up Raiola, I think that you can do some good work there. Now, talking about being connected in the passing game on the defensive side of the ball, in pass defense, how connected are you? How communicative are you? How sound are you in your assignments? Dana Holgerson's the OC here, and he is like going out on his shield, true air raid guy, where a 4-yard pass is an extension of the run game, and they're going to take that all game long. Yep. Can you get them, in negative play on first down, keep them short of the sticks on second down, and then get off the field on third down? If you can do that a couple times, you're going to be all right. Now, we've seen this Michigan State team, like, you got to be sound against the run. Emmett Johnson is I think a pretty good back. You go and watch like the first drive against Michigan. They did good work there. Like he didn't have a ton of daylight the rest of the game, but they were able to get some stuff schemed up. Luke Lindemeyer is a darn good tight end. They look at him quite a bit. And then really looking at how much has Michigan State grown from the USC experience, because they've got pretty good wide receivers. Barney, I think Jacorian Barney is
Barney and Dane Key, the two.
Dane Key is the other ones. He didn't do a ton. Barney kind of broke out. I think that on the offensive side of the ball, really looking for a good game from the secondary in that point of view. But if you can get home, it just makes your life so much easier. If you can heat up, Raiola's not super mobile. If you can get him a little uncomfortable in the pocket, that can help you out just a great deal. So looking at that, now I could also see Michigan State winning in a shootout because, it's really kind of a strength on strength. Nebraska has really good secondary players. That didn't really come into play a whole heck of a lot against Michigan, just because, they threw the ball a little bit, but it was mostly kind of design rollout, check down type of thing. They took like a couple shots, but they've got good secondary players, but Michigan State's got really good wide receivers, and they've got a quarterback who's playing the best football that I've seen him play. So, you want to, at some point, if you want to win a game against an opponent that I think is kind of a peer, I think right now for this season, you got to have your strength beat their strength. So I, look for Michigan State to do that. But where I'm really interested is in the run game. So
yes,
biggest thing that I noticed is like Michigan's running stretch this year, which they have not successfully run in a long time. It's been pretty much all gap stuff and inside zone. So it's actually Michigan State runs stretch. Like I would say that's probably their base run play. They run some inside zone, but a lot of just outside zone. You saw that probably best illustrated against Western in the opening game. So what Nebraska has are really light defensive tackles. So when you're giving up, a weight advantage there, they twist these guys, they stunt these guys, they have people spiking and twisting and just doing all sorts of crazy stuff on all sorts of plays. And when you're running gap schemes, that can be really, really problematic when you're trying to blow out a certain gap and there's somebody where you don't expect and then your assignments are all messed up. That is a huge reason why TCU beat Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago. Yeah, we're running a 3-3-5, but people are showing up where they're not supposed to be, and there's all your gap assignments are all messed up, and your pullers are running into each other, and it's total chaos. When you run stretch, a lot of that gets taken out, where you're just, hey, if I'm covered, I'm blocking. If I'm not, I'm finding somebody to block. Then it doesn't matter where you're stunting to, where you're spiking. None of that really matters because you can just, kind of student body right, student body left. I'm just getting who's covering me. Michigan State does that, and they've shown the ability to do that pretty well against players that they are more athletic than. Obviously, this is a significant athletic step up than Western. But if Michigan State can do that, you can see some of those explosive runs that Michigan had. I highlighted one of the best runs of the night against USC. I've been tough on a couple players on the offensive line for staying on their initial assignments too long when you're running stretch. We're really, we're going to double this defensive tackle instead of kind of attacking the near hip and then getting to a linebacker. In the USC game, you saw that to an extent that you didn't see in like the Youngstown State game, where like the same players who were making that mistake in the Youngstown State game were not doing that against USC. So it's like, there's growth there. There's coaching happening there. If you can build that up over a bye week and then into Nebraska, because obviously Nebraska is going to be reacting to what happened to them against Michigan. But at some point, these guys are not gaining 30, 40 pounds in a week and a half or whatever. So if you can have that zone blocking take away Nebraska's ability to stunt, you can deliver your running backs to the second level. And then it's just a matter of kind of if you can make a guy in the secondary miss. And even if you can't, churning out 6, 7, 8 yard runs,
take that all day.
Absolutely. Right. So, and I mean, that was my biggest concern against USC was not that they're popping off 80-yard runs. It's the consistency with which they were able to deliver blockers to the second level and get their running backs 7, 8, 9 yards consistently. If Michigan State can do that, you also shrink the game. You get the ball out of Dylan Raiola's hands, these wide receivers' hands, and you can lean on the strength of your team with that offense and that quarterback. And I think it's going to be a tough game, a close game. But if Michigan State can get this game, and then you get UCLA at home, I mean, then that opens up a whole world of really good possibilities for you. Very, very, very important game. So watching that really closely.
I just need it just for the sake of hearing just less fire Smith or, UCLA should hire Smith. I'm already sick of that dialogue. I am. I'll be open to it one day, but my God, guys, look, we've been, kind of critical of some things so far this season, like the defense. But like, good God, guys, it is going in the right direction.
What was the biggest thing we talked about before the year? It was all about number 2. What steps is he gonna make? I mean, Matt, remember last year when people were talking
great right now.
We gotta, talking about, do we bench Aidan Chiles to show him that turnovers aren't acceptable, right? It's like, right. You know what? I'm glad that he got those snaps and that he's grown, right? And there's 1,000 flowers bloom. I'm not saying, people are wrong. We took our lumps last year on offense, and I'm really happy with where Michigan State is from an offensive perspective right now. It's just, it takes a long time to recruit out of this. And like, I'm not a recruiting guy that, whether or not they're doing that, that's a different conversation. But
yeah, solid enough. Yeah,
it seems like things are going relatively well in that regard, and you're getting program guys who are going to stick around, right, and build a program that way. And you're not going to get the instant gratification there, and it's frustrating when you see other programs have that. And I'm cognizant of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can look at the offense and see proof of concept. So like it's there, and I think. Again, this game, if you can get to 5-1, you're going to get that 6th win. You're going to get to a bowl game. You're going to get those 15 more practices, and you can show, okay, we're here, then we're here. And then, next year it's, that you want to talk about an offense that could be a whole lot of fun, right? I mean, that's, I'm not to give up on this year, not to mourn the living, but
no, of course,
I think it's there.
Yeah.
And that's, at this point in the tenure, I think what you can reasonably ask. Obviously things you want to see better, but I think things are heading in the right direction.
Folks, that's Chase Glasser. You already know him. It's Chase, guys. He's on like pretty much all the time here during the season. We always love having him on. Thanks a ton for all your time, your insight. And guys, if you want more of him, mosey on over to Spartans Illustrated, where Chase and the gang doing all sorts of great work over there. And hey, speaking of great work, hopefully that, we're going to be doing more of that this week. I don't know, Chase. We only got 4 more episodes this week until kickoff, but we're going to have more guests, guys. We're going to drag Parker Fleming of Stats of War back on the show. We're going to get in with Locked On Nebraska. I'm going to try to get another nice guest that you guys may or may not know in the college football world. But hey, guys, until then, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.